and welcome. My name is Trish. Welcome to this Weird Wednesday reading. I'm going to get back into those Weird Wednesday readings. Today I'm looking at part 2 of the reading I done last week, where the cards wanted to talk about how we are affected by outside influences. Now, I was thinking Schumann resonance or solar flares is what I was picking up when they were talking about that. And then what happened to me after that was, synchronistically, after I did that reading a couple of weeks ago, I was shown a video that, and this was before I loaded it too. I done this reading in August, and then before I actually published or put the reading onto my YouTube channel, I was shown a video about, let me get his name, Michael Persinger. His name is, and he done studies into the magnetic field around the earth and how we are affected by how it affects our psychic ability, particularly when we're dreaming or having psychic dreams. Now, let me catch you up where I am up to. I put on one of his lectures, and I put a couple of cards as I was reading the lectures. So just bear with me while I catch you up on where I'm up to, and then we'll move further in this reading. Okay, so I put on one of his lectures. Now, I believe it was called, and I didn't write it down, it was called No More Secrets. And the idea behind that is, what if we can all tap into this energy of this magnetic field? Now, the principle that he uses is that our brain and our electromagnetic fields in our brain, we all can tap into the electromagnetic field, and this field contains enough storage capacity to hold the existences of everything that's happened to every one of us on the planet and everyone who's ever been on the planet. There's that much storage room in the magnetic sphere around the earth, is what he claims, and he's a scientist. He won awards on this presentation that he done, and it was really interesting. So, and this is all lining up and coming around to where the cards are wanting me to go. So this is a rabbit hole that the cards are pushing me down. So I'm hoping to bring you down this rabbit hole with me. So if you know anything about this, or you're learning about this as well, share with me as well in the comments, because this is a rabbit hole that they want me to learn about. They think it's important that we all need to know this. I'm putting this on my secondary channel because it's a little bit non-mainstream, a little bit out there, and that's what I want to promote with this second channel. Okay, so let me catch you up to where I'm up to. So I was watching the video about, it's called No Secrets. The ideas behind that, if we could all tap into this energy, then we could tap into each other's brain and know what each other's thinking without saying it. So there would be no more secrets. There would be no secrets from the government, whatever they're trying to hide from us, because we could all tap into this magnetic field, or this energetic field around the earth, and we could know what's going on, what the government knows, what the government doing. I personally think they've got measures in place to prevent us from doing that, prevent us from tapping in and gaining their secrets. I don't believe they're exposed and out in the open, but he says that, what if we could all learn to tap in? They've developed some kind of equipment to be able to do that, and I think I wrote down the name of it as I read down through here. Now it says, we are all connected, immersed in the Earth's magnetic field. It contains enough energy to store the experiences of every human, is what he said. Now, the Earth's magnetic field, he showed a picture on the screen of the Earth, and then the magnetic field around the Earth there. I've just drawn a picture of it. Now, I had a question. So this is the very first, pretty much opening sentence to that question, that seminar, and I was asking questions to the cards as I was watching. So I said, can we tap into this magnetic field to have better psychic abilities? And the question that I got there was the atmospheric card came out, and mind control. Now this is what he is saying. So this is in the opening sentence to what he was saying when he was talking about it. I've then asked the cards, can we tap into that? So the cards are saying yes, our minds all stem into that magnetic field. So maybe mind's not within our brain in our physical body, maybe our mind is within the magnetic field. So because we've got the card here of thought and mind control. So it's saying that, and he's talking brain, he's talking physical brains or brain power, but I feel it's more mind. And the cards are saying mind here. I do have a brain card in this deck, but they've come out with the mind control. So I feel like that's where we get our information. I feel like when inventors invent something or invent something at the same time, it's because they're tapping into the same stream of kind of like consciousness, but kind of like, okay, so they're tapping into the same stream of consciousness. Now I'm going already before I've even shared with you where I'm up to, but they're showing me stream of consciousness. So this magnetic field being the stream of consciousness. So when you say you tap into consciousness, or you're tapping into the same stream of consciousness to get the same invention, maybe that is the magnetic field, the atmosphere around us, the atmosphere, because that's the cards that came up to answer that. Can we tap into this magnetic field to better our psychic abilities? They've said yes, that's where our mind comes from, our thoughts come from, all comes from this atmospheric influence. So that is a magnetic field, the atmosphere around the earth. That was their answer to that one there. Then the second part of that question, the cards that I pulled there was Taurus field came out. Now the Taurus field is the other thing. I don't know if you've seen the Taurus field. It's like it looks like an opening at the top and the bottom that goes in like that with around the earth. So you might have to Google a picture of the Taurus field. I don't know if that's a good replication of the Taurus field. Probably not. But I'm just looking at the picture on the card there, Taurus field. So that's what they're showing, electromagnetic energy. I just noticed on the card there, I've wrote down Taurus field, electromagnetic is what I wrote down. So the question is, yes, we can tap into the atmosphere, the Taurus field or electromagnetic energy that's in the atmosphere. That's where our mind is, especially in the dream realm, especially when we're sleeping. Now, part of the video that I watched on TikTok, that wasn't the full seminar, it was just a brief video on TikTok, someone explaining it, saying that we have psychic dreams that are influenced by the magnetic field, and if they're interrupted by, say, solar storms or solar spots or some kind of solar activity, or Schumann resonance, if there's some kind of noise going on externally, then that affects our dreaming. We no longer have those psychic dreams. So I just find this so interesting and fascinating because I am a psychic dreamer, and I know a lot of you probably are as well. So I am, wondering, there's a way that we can gauge when it's best to psychic dream. So that would be looking at the solar activity, looking at the Schumann resonance, and understanding that this magnetic sphere, when it's nice and calm and nice and quiet, no interruptions from the outside influences, that's when we can pick up really good, strong psychic energy when we tap into it. They're telling me on the cards here that it is the atmosphere around us. Our minds are connected to that. It's like a Taurus field of electromagnetic energy that we're connected to. We're particularly susceptible or particularly hooked into this energy when we're in the sleep state. That altered state of reality is it's the brainwaves. I'm not sure if it's beta brainwaves. I think I wrote it down as I went further along, but that's what they're saying. It's the dream realm, because we're in that trance-like state, we can tap into good psychic abilities. And I feel it's probably no different to when mediums or psychics, when we tap in, I say tap in, get a really good connection. What I picture is like a gold light coming from the universe, and I'm tapping into streams of consciousness is what I think, and that's relates to what they just told me. So I tap into these streams of consciousness, which by these cards come from that atmospheric magnetic energy, is where these consciousness fields come from that we tap into down through the crown, actually in through the mind is what they're saying. Our minds are hooked into that or connected into that, and that's when we can pull in psychic abilities, psychic downloads or psychic information, tap into about things about people, or to be able to give messages to people, because we're tapping into that energy field that everybody's tapped into. So that makes sense to me. So then this is all happening within the first couple of minutes of this lecture. This is all going on, but this other stuff I'm just bringing in now as they're telling me. So as I'm looking at the cards and they're like interpreting it to me as I go. Can we be mind controlled? It was the next question. I thought, can we be mind controlled through this magnetic stream? Is where my brain started going straight away. Okay, he's saying no more secrets from the government. They can't hide anything. We can tap in and get it. But I'm not so sure about that answer. I didn't ask, but I did ask if they can control our minds through this magnetic NS atmosphere. I'm not saying it's the government. Definitely don't think it's the government. Definitely not your local government. It's the powers beyond, whoever's really in control that can tap into this magnetic field. Now, the answer that the cards gave was the angelic realm. So it's not our realm. It's not our government, like I just said. It's the realms up. It's so whether that's the angels, the fallen angels, or the realms higher than us. The beings higher than us. They're the ones that can control and manipulate the magnetic field, and they can mind control. You can see it up here, mind control, because that was my question. Can they mind control? Now it says reality, eyes open to see. They are able to tap in and see. They're able to see and walk in new souls. Now, isn't that interesting? I'm not sure how that fits, but it came out, so I think it's important. Walk in or new souls. Maybe that's how other beings can tap into certain humans via the electromagnetic field. Okay, are we talking about when people tap in? Channel is what they call it. I don't ever say channel. I don't like to channel, even though I do open up to the field. I tap into the field and get answers from the field. I sometimes say higher self is what I sometimes say. Sometimes I just I call it the golden light. I tap into like this golden light and connect into streams of information that way. So but here it's saying walk in new souls. So maybe these higher beings are able to channel information in through us that way. But my question was, can they mind control us? So I think that they've got that capability of doing that. But it was just interesting that that's who they said I'm talking about. I knew it wasn't government. Okay, my next question. Now, this was in... Oh, the next question is, can we alter our own reality from this field? Can we alter our own reality from this field? Is what my next question was. And the answer to that question was through the higher self. This one here. So through the higher self, they said, and through the 4D, so through 4D dimensions. So higher dimensions, like a higher vibration, a higher dimension. Now, in physics, the fourth dimension is time, but then I don't feel they're showing me that now. So I do feel it slows down. Time slows down through the fourth dimension. But what they're showing me now is, can we alter... Okay, that makes sense to me with time. Can we alter our own reality? Timelines. This is like the Mandela effect that they're telling now. I think this little series that they're pushing me through now, this little rabbit hole that they're sending me down, has lots of branches coming off it. One of those is Mandela effect. So that may be one of the little sequels that I do to this reading. So it's saying here, higher self. It's done through the higher self. Now that could be the mind, because I had these cards already out. The mind self. Now, is the higher self a different... It's us, obviously, living an experience through this body. But where does that sit when it comes to mind? So the mind, is the mind different? Now they're showing me that the mind sits and connects into the atmosphere, the magnetic field. It taps into this energy. So it's all the mind energy. So maybe the mind is like the higher self. The mind is kind of like the higher self. So when we think in or relax and able to tap into thoughts or downloads, it's actually coming through our mind. And because our mind is connected to the magnetic field, where we all are connected, where there's lots of data, remember, there's lots of storage there. That's all storage. Akashic records. Also, could the Akashic records be part of the this field? Could that be where they are? And that's where you tap into that. So they're showing me lots of higher self, lots of mind sitting in this area. So now I've got to move on to where dimension 4D controlling. So controlling time. One thing that came up when I just read that, then controlling time, is one thing is the timelines changing and the Mandela effect. Secondly is the ability to manipulate and control time. because my question was, can we alter our own reality? Now, sometimes I'll say, okay, I don't do it anymore. I used to do it a lot when I was very busy. I'd say, okay, I need a slow day today. I need the day to go very slow because I have to fit so much in. And I was able to somehow manage to make the day seemed like it went slow, so I got so much done. I managed to do that. And then I would always know that that would be followed up and balanced by a day that would go very fast. Then sometimes if there's something that you had to do that you really didn't want to do, that you committed to, that you didn't really want to do, that's when you would say, okay, this day could go fast. We could speed through this day. So it was almost like you're controlling certain days. They balance out with each other. When you stretch time out, it has to be contracted back in, so it's like it balances out. But I do remember doing that when I was younger, especially probably in my 20s and 30s. So yeah, and then this is saying we do have the ability to manipulate our reality, particularly when it comes to the 4D or to controlling time. It says controlling time, because that was a question that I asked. Can we alter our own reality through this field? Yes, we can control time through this higher self connection, or through the mind connection into the this is so fascinating and so interesting, and they're just giving me this as I'm reading straight from these cards here. So interesting. But anyway, then I got into this is like within the first couple of minutes of this seminar that he was doing, or this the talk that he was doing. And then he said, approximately 10 minutes into the seminar, he said that the brain is most able to tap into this energy when we're in the dream state. So by this time I had all these questions out, not these two here. I had all these questions asked and out before I got to 10 minutes within that video, within that talk or seminar. Was actually a university lecture. So before the first 10 minutes, I had asked all these questions and got all these answers. And then 10 minutes in, he said that we're particularly able to do this when we're in that dream state. I think he called it beta state, or but the dream state. So geomagnetic energy is calmest and strongest for psychic dreaming. So, okay, the geomagnetic energy, when it's calmest, it's best for psychic dreaming. Now, as I explained at the start of this video, that means that when there's not so much solar waves, solar activity, sunspots, Schumann resonance, that when that's not all heightened and adding extra noise to the electromagnetic energy, that's when our brains are able to go into this nice calm energy of the electromagnetic field and tap into anything that we want to know. Past, present, future I'm not sure about, but past, present, I don't know about future. I'm not sure. I didn't ask. So we can tap into this energy there, and I'm still trying to sit with that one. That's a question. That's a really good question there. We can tap into that energy strongest, mostly when we're dreaming for most of us. But I feel if we can get into that nice, good trance state when we're reading or doing psychic work, then that's when we get, and then we're focusing on tapping in. Now, this is so interesting to me because it's the way I tap in anyway without knowing any of this information. So I've always tapped in by doing the protections, and then I open up and see the streams of consciousness being, I see it as gold lights coming through. Sometimes I see them as a thick strand, sometimes it's just little small strands, but it's like how I connect in. So sometimes that's when I say sometimes I've got a really good connection today, and then sometimes I have like a smaller connection. But and maybe that's related to what's going on in the atmosphere at that time, what my connection is, because I see it, I visualize it. So sometimes it's big, sometimes it's lots of small strands, sometimes it's a good, strong, heavy strand. So maybe when the electromagnetic energy, or like there's no sunspots or solar flares, then we're able to get this really good, strong connection into the magnetic, and I didn't even know that's what I was tapping into. I just always thought I was tapping into my higher self or tapping into consciousness to get answers that way. But it's so interesting to have science-based answers on what I've been visualizing or what I've been doing for all these years. So that's why I'm so fascinated by this reading. So continuing along down this rabbit hole that I'm going on watching this lecture, a couple more notes that he talks about is more of a connection to other brains as there's less noise. So we're able to connect into other people's minds, other people's brains. He says brains. I think it's probably more minds. When there's less noise going on there. Magnetic frequency most compatible with the right side brain. So your right side brain is when I'm reading, I talk about, okay, I'm not very logical today. When I'm deep reading, I have no logic because I'm sitting in right brain. Left brain is your logic brain. Right brain is your relaxed state, your beta state or something, I think it's called. I might have wrote it down. But it's your state where you go into your trance. It's your state where it's where your creative energy is. It's where you go in and do your psychic work. So sometimes when I'm doing a reading, I'm very deep in a reading, I'll say, okay, I don't know, I have no logic, I don't know if I just asked that, I can't remember what I just said. Or when you do a reading, you people out there that do readings, and you'll do a reading for somebody, and then you won't know when the reading's finished, you'll have no idea what you just said. It comes and goes. You don't retain the information. It doesn't stay with you because you're not logically in that thought. Now, he also said in that lecture that it sits in this state in the magnetic sphere. Any information that comes in sits in this state for about 20 minutes in the magnetic field before it connects into memory, before it becomes memory and locks in. And so when you're reading for somebody and you're just tapped in and it comes and it goes, it's like you're tapping into this magnetic field, and it's like it's still sitting in this state in the magnetic field, and you're just reading this magnetic field, and then it just goes. So it doesn't actually lock into your logical brain, your left brain. So that's why you don't remember when you're doing psychic readings. You don't remember what you just said, or the questions that you asked, or how you asked the questions. So that's why sometimes I appear so dumb when I'm reading cards, because I go in very deep and I have no logical brain. So, but normally I love science, I love physics and all of that stuff. So I am switched on when it comes to that stuff. But when you're reading, I don't. I go out of left brain altogether and tap right into right brain. So this all makes sense to me as to what I've been doing all these years, and now what Spirit is guiding me to go and give me answers to what's going on a scientific basis. Okay, so loss of connection happens when there's a solar storm or solar wind. So that's when we kind of lose our connection, our psychic connection. 7 hertz is the left brain, the right brain is 7 hertz. So I just wrote that down because I thought that was really interesting. So, tapping into music of that 7 hertz wavelength. My next question was, so this is after 10 minutes in, how do we get exposed? How do we get exposed to the magnetic field? That's a silly way of writing that. How can we get exposed to the magnetic field? Very strange way I've written that question. But anyway, the questions come out. Let me see if I can pull it through without that. The questions that came in was the 3D realm and hidden. So here we are asking, how can we expose or get access to the magnetic field? It is hidden from us when we are in the 3D. So that means when we are in our logical state, our 3D physical state, we're going about our business, we're going to work, we're doing our regular things, we're keeping busy, like they like us to be busy all the time, because then we're not relaxing and going into that relaxed trance state. So if we're always busy or we're always worried, then we're not able to really tap into this energy. It remains hidden from us. Isn't that interesting? That's the answer that the cards gave to that. Okay, so then I said, any other questions? I didn't really ask any other questions, but I just want to catch you up on what I learnt. So there is an advanced simultaneous at the same time. Okay, no, I did ask a question. Okay, there's an advanced technology. There is an advanced technology that they've created to be able to tap into this, that they put stuff on people's heads. The cards that came out, and I didn't get them out and place them down, sorry, because I didn't realize this was a question. It said simultaneously at the same time, and that's because in these experiments that they were doing, they would have 2 people connected with these headpieces on. So that's why, obviously, the card of simultaneously at the same time. They were connecting their minds through this machine. Advanced technology, something that's new that they created. lies or deception, and then the atmosphere around the planet. And then they put the two people on the same frequency was part of this. Part of this thing was to put them on to the same frequency. Okay, so they said now neuroscience, when thinking of white light, generates photons in the brain. Part of the experiment that they done at Michael, let me just get his name again, so Persinger, that's Persinger. Part of this experiment that they done was about visualizing white light, so, and that created photons in, I think, the other person. But I just found that really, and that was helped by focusing on white light in a relaxed state. So in the right brain, intensified the frequency. So in order to do these experiments, they needed to intensify this frequency. So they'd done that by focusing on white light while in a relaxed state. So this is so interesting as a psychic, because we focus, I know I do, as part of my ritual, is focus on that white light. So prior to starting, it's all about focusing on this white light. It's white light of love and protection, and I visualize it very strongly. But that's all about putting you. I always thought it was just protection, but what it actually is doing on a physics kind of thing is putting you in a relaxed state in your right brain, and intensifying your frequency. So how amazing is that? It's amazing that these things that I've practiced for many years are explained by science, and what they actually mean, what you're actually doing to increase your psychic ability. So how amazing is that, to have your psychic ability increased, and that is the secret. That's how you increase your psychic ability. So let me just pull a couple more cards on this topic and see if there's anything that they want to talk about, maybe leading into our next part of this series. Okay, so they want to talk about wisdom to be revealed. Okay, there's still a lot more to talk about with this subject. There's more wisdom to be revealed. Now, I find this super fascinating because it's principles that I've worked on for 30 years. As a psychic, things that you're taught in your early stages of psychic development, but on a physics level, because I also love science. So it's on a physical science level, explaining what it's actually doing to your physical body, your brain, or your mind in this time. So these are things that we already know and how they work. So imagine the things that we don't know, the new wisdom to be revealed. So isn't that interesting? Here it says surveillance and being monitored or watched. And that's what I said about, I don't think that there's free reign into this electromagnetic energy. I don't think they let us go in there and go fishing around for, secret kind of things that's going on that we're not supposed to know about. I don't think they let us go in. I think they do have surveillance. I do think they have measures in place to prevent us from getting in and finding out certain things. Now, here they're talking about the transducer converting waves to signals. Okay, what are you giving me here about waves to signals? We're talking about the brain here, and this is what this whole lecture's been about, is about the brain. So they're showing me a picture of the brain on the cards, and they're talking about the brain is a transducer, and what that means, it converts waves to signals. So here it is, the magnetic field around us is waves. It's magnetic waves around us, and our brains are able to take those waves in and transfer them to signals within our bodies, signals that we can pick up on. So that could be emotions, where because I'm empathic, so maybe I'm tapping into feelings, and that's how I'm doing it. When I can tap into other people's feelings, it comes in through the wave coming in from the magnetic field around us that we tap into via our brains, because that's what he said. The scientist said, Michael Persinger said, that it's our brains that tap in. So our brains are transducers, which means that they convert waves into signals, and we tap into those and we pick them up. Here it's saying portal. It's like accessing. We can access beyond via a portal. So this is like a portal. Tapping into this energy is a way for us to tap into information outside of ourselves, is what that means. So it's not just what's contained within ourselves or our own memories of existence, things we've learned, our own knowledge. It's our way, it's our portal to tap into all of the existence, all of the knowledge. Isn't that interesting? Evolving, evolution. So it's all about evolving. It's how it's evolving and growing. So maybe the magnetic field around us, it's evolving maybe as we evolve to as humans. So that's very, very interesting. I look forward to doing a bit more of a deep dive on this reading. And depending on what they show me next, I'm sure they will give me some kind of signal as to where I'm going next with this. And usually they all end up connecting up together. But this is so fascinating, and I hope you enjoy.